As a poll coordinator, one of your responsibilities is to clear ballot jams on the DS200 voting machines. This segment will walk you through the steps of doing that. Before we begin, it's important to remember that this task, like all important tasks in the polling place, must be done bipartisanly. In the event of a jam, the table will call over one of the coordinators. You will need to borrow an inspector or chair from that table who is from the other party. When that happens, remember that you are in the lead because only the coordinators are trained in how to unjam the machine, and the other person should only assist you and observe. Because the process of moving a ballot through the machine is mechanical, sometimes there will be jams. A ballot could be wrinkled or damp, or sometimes we don't know why the ballot gets stuck. But whenever a jam happens, one of the coordinators will be called to clear it up. While you're doing that, voting shouldn't stop. It's the role of the inspectors and chair to open the emergency ballot bin, which is a slot in the machine, into a secure holding bin, and that's where voters will put their ballots until the machine is up and running again. Those ballots will be scanned into the machine at the end of the night. All of that is the job of the inspectors and chair, but we're explaining it here so that you'll know what's going on when you see voters slipping ballots into the middle of the machine while you're working on it. We'll talk in just a minute about how to physically open the top of the machine and take out the ballot that's causing a jam. That's the easy part, and there are just a few steps. The most important part of the job is knowing what to do with that ballot. The critical question is, has it already been counted by the machine? If so, it can be allowed to drop into the machine, and all you have to do then is close up the machine so it will go back to work. But if the ballot hasn't been counted yet by the machine, then you have to take it out so that it can be rescanned. This distinction is the key to the unjamming process because we have to make sure that every voter's ballot is counted and counted only once. So how do you know whether the ballot you're unjamming has been counted? The machine will tell you. You need to read the screen of the DS200 before you touch anything. It will tell you everything you need to know. These are pictures of what you'll see on the DS200 screen. The first screen here tells you that the ballot has been counted, but it didn't drop into the ballot box. That means the jam occurred after the point that the machine scans the ballot for tabulating. So you're going to clear the jam and allow the ballot to fall into the ballot bin inside the machine, as it would have done on its own had there been no jam. The second screen here tells you something very different. This says that the ballot has not been counted. That means the jam occurred before the machine could scan the ballot for tabulating. When you see this message, you're going to have to be very careful not to dislodge the jammed ballot and cause it to fall into the machine. What can you do if that happens? Is there anything you can do if an uncounted ballot accidentally falls into the machine? Can you retrieve it? Can you go into the ballot bin and get it? Can you let the voter have another ballot to vote? The answers are no, 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 and no. You can never open the ballot bin. But even if you could, you wouldn't know which ballot to pull out because they don't fall in neatly with the last one on the top. And, unfortunately for the voter, he or she cannot get another ballot. The only way to get a replacement ballot is to turn in the old one if you've made a mistake on it and trade it in for a new one. So it's critical that you read the screen before touching the machine for every jam you're called over to resolve. After that, actually clearing the jam is the easiest part. Before you begin working on a machine, be sure to note the jam on your log. Then the first step is to unlock the top. Stand in front of the machine facing the screen. The lock will be in front of the screen in the very right corner. Borrow the flat silver key from the inspector or chair at the table. Next, lower the low front, which is called the retention flap because it holds the scanner in place. Next, very gently, using two hands, slide the scanner forward. Be sure not to pull it too far because it's actually connected in the back by a wire. You want to be careful not to break the little feet under the scanner, so I can't stress enough. Please be gentle. Once the scanner has been pulled forward, you should see the jammed ballot behind it. Using two hands, Slowly and carefully ease the ballot loose. If it was counted, carefully slide it down into the bin. If the jam ballot was not counted, slowly pull it toward you and out of the machine. The first step in returning the machine to voting mode is to reach behind the scanner and tuck the cord into the opening in the back of the machine. Then use two hands to gently ease the scanner back into place. Next, raise the retention flap back into place and relock the lock. Remember to return the key to the inspector or chair who gave it to you. Remember that if the ballot was not counted, it now has to be scanned. But what should you do if the ballot is mangled or badly creased? You don't want to scan it in that condition because it very likely would jam again. If the voter is present, the chair or inspector should have the voter stamp the ballot with the spoiled stamp and then issue the voter a replacement ballot. They will mark their choices on the new ballot and then scan it. If the voter is not present because they didn't wait, then the ballot is placed in the orange emergency ballot secure bag and it will be dealt with back at the Board of Elections. What should you do if you don't see the ballot when you pull the scanner forward? Or if you can't ease the jammed ballot out? Or what if the ballot rips and part is still caught in the machine? Can you open the ballot bin to look for the jam in the bottom of the machine? That's a big no. Please never open the ballot bin compartment. In these scenarios, or any other ballot jam problem not covered here, you need to call the Board of Elections. We will send a bipartisan team of technicians to work on your machine. When technicians do come to your polling place, either because you called for them or they stop in on their own, always make sure there are two of them, because there always must be a Democrat and a Republican present in order to work on a machine, and ask to see their Board of Elections ID. Once a jam is cleared, the inspector and/or chair for the table will open the emergency bin, put up the flap so the slot is closed, lock it and seal it. They will deal with any ballots inside, deposited while the machine was jammed, at the end of the night, and the machine is again ready for voting.